Hi friends, so I'm going to show you how to make a very cute little gift packet, and it's really easy. What I have here is some Stampin' Up! Designer Series paper. Now this is actually retired. I bought it from our clearance rack a while back, and I wanted to use some of it up. And what I've done is I have cut it to measure 6.5 by 6.5. Reason being is I'm going to be using my envelope punch board to make an envelope that measures 3.5 by 4. So when I look at that measurement, it does show that I need a piece of paper that measures 6.5 by 6.5, and then my first scoring line is 3 1/8. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So line it up at my 3 1/8, punch it down, and then take my score tool and go down in the groove. And I want to make sure I get a good crisp crease there. So now I turn it around, and that crease, which I know you probably can't see on the camera, is what I'm going to line up to that score line. And then punch it again and score it. Turn it around, line up that score line again with that little tab, punch, and score it. If you haven't tried this envelope punch board, it is a must. You have to get one. It has come in handy when I run out of envelopes and I just use computer paper, which I stamp up, or pretty designer series paper, and bam, I've got a cute little envelope. No matter what size I need, it can do this. And this also makes all kinds of fun little boxes and lots of different things. So it's not just for envelopes, but it is pretty awesome. Okay, so I'm done with the punch board. Let's put my little tool back in the side. We'll set that aside. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my piece of pattern paper and my star framelit, and I'm just going to put that in the middle. I've got this on my magnetic platform, so I'm just lining that up. You wouldn't want to do the envelope any bigger because you do want this to be able to fit through the big shot. So now I'm putting my plate on top of that. I'm going to crank it through the big shot. So when you take it out, you've got your star in the middle. And then I'm just going to save this for another project. Obviously, don't want to waste that. So I'm going to do that with my second piece of designer series paper. The edges of the paper will bend a little bit, but that's okay because they're going to be glued down when we put it together. And there we go. Another fun star for another project. And now I'm going to fold on those crease lines all the way around. Okay. The next step is taking a piece of our window sheets from Stampin' Up. They come in 12 by 12. So I cut this to measure 4 by 4 so that it fits perfectly in the center. And I'm just going to glue that down on the inside. So I'm actually just going to use my liquid glue. You could use snail if you want. I'm going to put a little bit in here as well. And then just put that right on top. So then the front is going to have this little window sheet in the center of that star. So on this one, I actually glued it on crooked. So I have a little bit of the window sheet going past this crease. So I'm actually just going to take my scissors and trim that off. All right. So now I'm going to seal up my envelope. So again, I'm just using my liquid glue, which I love this glue. So I'm going to bring it back my punch board because I want to round this top flap, and you do that by putting it in the top of your punch board and pushing down, and then you get that rounded corner. Cool little gadget. Alright, so now it's time to fill these up with something fun. So in this one, I'm going to tuck in some delicious tea. Come in these cute little pouches. And then fold the top over. And I'm going to glue that down. And just hold it there for a second. So there's my one cute little gift pouch. Not quite finished yet, but it's got some fun tea in there. And this one I'm filling up with red and green peanut M&Ms. And now we're going to seal that one up. And again, I'm just holding it down for a second, just for that glue to adhere. It doesn't take long. So to embellish these, I'm actually using more of my retired product, just because I have a lot of fun things in my stash. Stampin' Up! Is always adding things to our clearance rack. So I'm going to take my red and wrap it around the top of the first one. And I'm just going to pick up a glue dot to hold that down so I can have it stay in place while I'm tying my bow. Push it down on the glue dot. And trim off the ends. And I would also suggest putting a glue dot on the back underneath the ribbon as well, just to keep it in place. So to make the embellishment, I'm using some early espresso because there's the brown in both the pattern of the designer series paper. I'm using my Merry Christmas from Teeny Tiny Wishes, and I know a lot of you have that stamp set from Stampin' Up! Because it is so versatile and it just has expressions for every occasion. So I'm taking my piece of scrap early espresso, and I'm just taking my embossing buddy, rubbing all over it. Next, I'm taking my Versamark, and I'm going to ink it up twice because I need 2 tags. And I'm not worried if I go crooked or not because I'm going to be trimming it down anyways. So now I'm taking my Whisper White embossing powder, sprinkling that on, tap off the excess, and I'm going to zap that with my heat tool. Okay, so I'm taking our word window punch, which coordinates perfectly with this stamp set. Every expression in that stamp set will fit inside this punch. And I'm simply lining it up. And I'm moving the S at the end of Christmas closer to the edge so I have a spot to just punch out a little hole to adhere that to my package. So now I've got perfect little tags. Okay, so To adhere my tag, I have one of my vintage faceted buttons, and I have a dental flosser that I keep. Let's see if you can see that on the camera. I keep this in my craft supplies because it is perfect for threading your ribbons and twines through your buttons. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually just thread it underneath this bow. And then I'm going to take my button and thread it up. I'm going to do the same thing with the other end. Okay, and now I'm going to thread my tag on. And then just tie a bow. And then the last thing is adding a rhinestone, because you have to have some bling. So I'm actually just going to put that in the center of that baker's twine bow. Two cute little gift packages, really easy to make, and you can imagine all the different things you can do. You can change the shape of your framelit, change this to an everyday little gift with flowers, maybe put a package of seeds in there, or even some bird seed would be cute. They can sprinkle that out in the yard for the little birds. You can really do a lot. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching, and